Everybody has a story to tell. In this episode of the Latino Business Report, our guest is Alejandra de la Torre. Alejandra's pathway to success was not linear. At a very early age, she was told that after high school, she'd be getting married and having babies, which was the path for most Latinas in those days. However, Alejandra didn't see it that way. She wanted something much more. As a child, she was determined to do things her way. She did not like depending on others. Alejandra wanted to do things for herself. When she was in second or third grade, her class hosted a career day. And that was the day that changed her life. A well-dressed Latina walked into the room carrying a briefcase and wearing pantyhose. Little Alejandra had never seen that, and she had no idea who she was or what she did. All she knew is that she wanted to be like her.
Welcome to the Latino Business Report. This podcast covers business, people, and issues of the day from a Latino perspective. The Latino Business Report is brought to you by TAMAC, the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce. TAMAC is the leading Hispanic business organization in Texas since 1975. Now for your host, J.R. Gonzalez.
And welcome to another episode. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking with a woman that I met about a year ago. Her name is Alejandra de la Torre. She was actually one of TAMAC's Women of Distinction recipients. Very interesting woman. She is an independent contractor for State Farm Insurance and a part of the $1 Million Roundtable. Successful businesswoman, but that success has an interesting story behind it and how she got there. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Alejandra, how are you doing?
I am doing wonderful, JR. How about yourself?
Yeah, I couldn't be any better. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. We've been talking about doing this for a while, so I'm glad you were able to make time and finally get everything going so we could do this. But Alejandra, right now you're a State Farm, you're an independent contractor selling exclusively for State Farm.
Yes.
And you're part of the $1 Million Roundtable. For those who are not familiar with that, what does that mean?
It's the top 1% of insurance agents and financial service agents in the world.
Wow. So you don't have to say it. I will. That means you're definitely there at the top and very successful at what you do. But I have to ask this question. Did you always want to be an insurance agent?
No, JR. You know, who goes to school wanting to be an agent, insurance agent, right? I just stumbled upon it, but I really do like it.
Okay. And you're obviously successful at it. But so let's kind of go back a little bit and tell your story, Alejandra. So you're raised in El Paso and
Yeah, raised in El Paso by two very traditional Hispanic parents. You know, my dad's first generation, my mom's from Mexico, from Juarez, Ciudad Juarez. So I was raised in a very nice, traditional Mexican family.
Okay. And when you're being raised, I mean, your goal in life was to do what?
Not my goal. My parents' goal was to be a housewife and a mom, right? Right out of high school, I was going to get married, have babies. So, you know, what I was getting taught was how to cook and clean and be a nice housewife.
So growing up, you didn't really have, that's what your parents said you were going to do. So that's what you thought you were going to do.
Yes.
What changed?
You know, second or third grade, we had one of those days where it's career day and people come in and, you know, parents and professionals come in and talk to you. And, you know, we've had other career days that I've been part of, but this particular one, I saw this Latina. To this day, I can't remember what she looks like or what her profession was, but she was wearing pantyhose and she had a briefcase. And I was just like, what? She's not a housewife? And there is an opportunity for someone that looks like me and looks like my mom that can have pantyhose and carry a briefcase. So when I was asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to wear pantyhose and I want to have a briefcase.
So that's what changed it for you.
That's changed it for me. I realized that I didn't have to get married and be a housewife right out of high school. So I always wanted to do something else.
So that kind of the little foco went off in your head and goes, okay, I can do something else.
Yeah.
But Alejandra, you have a very entrepreneurial spirit. What drives you to go out and now, who doesn't like making money? But you were determined to make money, not so much for the purpose of making money, but you saw that making money and being successful in business had its advantages. So, from what I understand, talking to friends of yours, that you started off at a very young age, determined to actually start buying things for yourself.
Yeah, I was like 6 years old when I went with my mom to Kmart. Does anybody remember those stores, Kmart?
We're aging
Yeah,
ourselves
we're
now.
aging ourselves. So I wanted to buy lipstick, lip gloss, and there was three different shades. The pink, the orange, and the golden color. And I told my mom I want one, and she said you can pick one because I'm gonna buy myself a plant. My mom liked plants, and I remember thinking, I hate being dependent on my parents for money. Because if I had
Hmm.
my money, I would buy three. And if I'm waiting for them to buy, I could only buy one. So, the wheel started turning. Well, what can I do at 6 or 7 years old to make money? And trust me, I tried and I failed because I knocked on neighbors' doors to see if they wanted for me to cut their grass. And they would say something, oh, no, sweetie, that's okay. And then the next day, my brother's cutting their grass. And I was too young to babysit, so I couldn't babysit. And then I thought of, well, if I go ask them if they want me to wash their car tires, I can
Wait. To do what?
to wash the tires of their car. And I
Okay.
created this business where I was going to go, and I got no customers. And that's when I realized, man, my dad's the only one that cares about having clean tires. Nobody else cares about having clean tires. So that was just my dad's thing, like, limpia las
Well, I
llantas.
think, yeah. Well, it is a thing. I know that, but usually you wash. When you wash the tires, you wash the rest of the car. It's kind of, I can't imagine. Just let me wash your tires because I'm so. You couldn't even reach the upper part. So okay. Anyway,
Yeah,
so washing tires. So that business didn't work out for you.
that didn't work out. So I didn't get a job. But about a year and a half later, I saw a kid older than me, obviously, but he was passing out the newspaper. That's when, you passed out newspapers. So I
Yeah.
flagged him down and I said, how can I do what you're doing? And he connected me with the guy that runs the newspaper, and he gave me one paper route. And the thing, the automatic response is you can have one paper route. And I was like, why can't I have two? So his thing was like, you just can't pass out all the papers in time. So I got my one paper route, and the way it works is like, let's say, I can't remember the dollars, but let's say the paper cost $1.
Hmm.
So we charge $3. And when I go collect, I pay the newspaper what I owe them, and anything else for me is my money. That's how I work.
Okay.
So what I started doing is I noticed that some papers weren't getting picked up on time until the afternoon. So I thought of, hey, do you want me to not pass it out at 7 in the morning? Do you have a special time that you want me to pass out? Yeah. Can you have it here by 10? Yeah, that's an extra $1.
So you gave customized delivery service
Yes.
for the newspapers.
Yes. And the way I kept track is by writing everything down. We didn't have computers. We didn't have any of that stuff. Aging myself again. But yes, and it worked, and customers were happy. And besides paying me, I got tips. And so I was like,
So you
I was
so you
making,
weren't you weren't happy with the standard profit margin that delivery people got. So you wanted to increase that by adding customer service.
yeah, I was making bank.
Okay.
So I bought myself a motorcycle.
Okay.
So I got one of those, they're called 80s. They're little motorcycles. And
Hmm.
I learned how to ride it. And then I went back to the newspaper and said, now can I get two routes?
Mírala.
So
Did you get two
I
routes?
did. I got two routes, and it lasted about 2 months before I wiped out with all the papers and the bike into the ditch. And that was the end of that story.
Okay. But that did not stop you. You kept going, right?
Yeah, I kept going. But you know, it was it was a good time. I think, man, I wish we still had newspapers because I would make my kids do it because it was really all up to us to go knock on the doors, collect the
Sure.
payment, do the math, pay them, keep your, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah. Teaches
yeah,
responsibility
and I
and
wish they had
basic
that.
business.
Yeah, you can't do that now. Everything's in a iPad now, you know?
Okay. Well, let's fast forward. You're definitely an entrepreneur, and I understand that you worked your way in high school. You were working at a very young age, and a little birdie told me that you were actually working underage a few times.
According to my ID, no. No, but yes, I did. At 13, I grew. I was really tall compared to the people in El Paso. And that's the time when we wore the big curly hair.
Hmm.
So I just looked older. So I was able to get an ID that said I was 2 years older and I was working at Wiener Stencil. I couldn't invite anybody to my quinceañera because they thought I was turning 17.
Okay.
But
So you worked your way you worked your way through high school. I mean, you didn't have to, but you worked
yeah.
because you wanted that extra income.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't understand why people don't want to work. I mean, I know a lot of people that work, but there's a lot of people that don't want to work. I had so much fun working. It's work, yes, but you're there with people your age, when you're a teenager, and you're just having the best time playing jokes on everybody, and we just had a great time. I really did enjoy working, and during Christmas time, I had 2, 3 jobs that I did, Spencer's and all that other stuff.
Wow. So you've just been, I wouldn't call you a workaholic, but you just enjoy working.
I did. I really did enjoy working. I could honestly,
And you're making,
and then
and you're making,
yeah,
you're making some good money doing it too.
yeah.
For a teenager.
My parents didn't have to give me lunch money. If I wanted to go to a quinceañera, they didn't have to give me money to buy a dress. I had it. And then I could buy whatever dress I wanted.
And not the one they could afford
Not
or
the
said you
one,
were going to wear.
yes.
I get it. I get it. So you've always had this little kind of independent attitude. I want something and I'm going to earn it or get it myself. I'm not going to depend on anybody else.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit. You're going, and then high school graduation. Where were you at that high school? And college, was that an option, not an option?
So I was never told to go to college. It was just like at least graduate high school. But throughout my youth, I was told, oh, don't worry. When you get out of high school, your husband's going to take care of that, and your husband this, and your husband that. And that's what was ingrained in me. But I knew that I did not want to get married. So it was about about a month after I graduated high school. We were at the dinner table, and I said to my dad, I want to go to college. And he said in Spanish, why? Why don't you leave that for your brother? So in their mind, it's a waste of money and time if I'm just going to be a housewife, right? So, so I went to my room and I thought, okay, I was already making plans. Okay, I'm not going to go to college. And then all of a sudden I just thought like, well, why not? And then I went to the kitchen and I told my mom, my dad was at work, and I said, Mom, I want to go to college. And I was expecting to have to fight for it. And my mom said, well, how do you go? And I said, well, I don't know, but I can go to community college and get a counselor. And me and my mom went. And that's how it started. So I think my mom, being a housewife, she wanted something different for me, but she wasn't going to say it in front of my dad. So she supported me, and my mom has been like my backbone. And you know what? My dad too. My dad's always supported me too, but his way of seeing and the way he was raised had to be changed a little bit, and I was here to do that. and when I did, he's supported me all the way. So I've had very supportive
Yeah.
parents.
But grew up in a very traditional, a woman is there to prepare for being a wife and a mother.
Yes, and dinner came, my brothers would sit down and my dad would sit down, and me and my mom were serving them. And I don't mind that. I don't mind. I love cooking. I love doing all that kind of stuff, but I just wanted to have opportunities, and my dad finally came around to the idea and said yes.
So you're in community college, and then you started at UTEP. What were you majoring in?
So like I said, when my dad came around to me going to college, he said, okay, mija, you can go to college, but you're going to be a teacher.
Oh, he chose that for you too, huh?
Yes, he chose that to me. And then he said,
Okay.
the reason he liked it is because all the president's wives were teachers and it's a very respectable profession. So I said, okay, yeah, sure. Why not? I'll be a teacher. But what happened is by the way, I was in the 9-year plan for college. So
Okay.
by the time, with community college and all that. So by the time I'm at my last year, like I had one semester to go before your senior year. When you're going to be a teacher back then, I don't know how it is now, you have to work as a teacher's aide for one whole year and not get paid for it. By this,
Not get paid for it?
not get paid. It's 1 year that you're working as a teacher's
Okay.
aide. So by this time, I'm working at AT&T in the international department. I had already moved up into leadership. So I was in a dilemma of, okay, so do I quit to go become a free student aid teacher? And when I get to be a teacher, I'm going to be making less than I was already making. So now I finally got to go through college and I'm like, what the? I thought
Why?
going to college was going to open the doors for me and I'm going to be making less with a degree. So I was having a hard time, but at the same time, I was getting sick and I didn't realize it. Anyways, to make the long story short, I had a brain tumor. So the brain tumor kind of made the decision for me to drop out. 2 years of surgeries and going through all that. So I dropped out of high school. I dropped out of college.
A brain tumor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Why?
How do you deal with it? I mean, it's not like brain tumors ran in the family or anything, is it? I mean, just
No, and nobody, and the doctors don't know why you get it. People just get it. But it's the funny thing is because I had been sick for some time.
okay.
Headaches, I learned to live with headaches. So, but it was Halloween and they called me. I was at work and they called me and they said, "Hey, can you come to the doctor's office?" And I got to the doctor's office and they had a counselor. I mean, they had a whole setup there. They had someone I can talk to, and I don't remember everybody that was there, but it was a lot of people. And I'm like, okay. So I walk in, and they, be prepared to tell me, and they said, "We just want to tell you we found out what's wrong." I'm like, okay, what? So we found that you have a tumor in your head. It's in the brain. It's right on top of it. And everybody's looking at me, and everybody's like, "So we understand." And I'm like, "Oh my God, thank God." And everybody's like,
what?
yeah, and yeah, that's exactly what everybody did. And I said, well, I mean, now you found out what's wrong with me, so fix it. It was so long. I had been sick for so long. I had headaches. I was tired.
Okay, so you didn't realize why you were feeling that way. Now you knew.
Yeah, so now fix it. Now
Okay.
we have an answer. Now you can fix it. But everybody was just like, let me just tell you, it's just so sad. And I was just like, no. This is good news. We found it. It's not me going crazy. Just fix it. Just tell me what. Serb was like, all right,
So you had to go through the chemo and the whole bit.
Yeah, you get treated like a cancer patient. So it's chemo. Well, I went through 3 surgeries, 2 through my nose, 1 through my head. I was still sick. They sent me to Rochester, Minnesota, Mayo Clinic. They removed my adrenal glands, so I don't have adrenaline, and they did radiation on my pituitary gland.
And how long did that whole process take?
About 2.5 years.
Wow. Did you have to relearn anything after the surgery?
No. I mean, it did take about a week to feel normal. Like my eyes hurt. I felt like I was talking a little bit slow, but the feeling of waking up and having no pain was amazing. It was just amazing.
Life changing.
Oh yeah. It's just like, oh my God, is this how people really feel? So I wasn't like sad or anything. It was just like, damn, like this is what I have to get through to feel better, kind of thing.
Okay. So I understand during the process you gained a lot of weight too, didn't you?
Yeah. So the tumor was on my pituitary gland, so I'm producing too much cortisone. So it's more of being bloated, like swollen. So every single muscle in your body is growing. Plus, it's eating your bones. Right.
Man.
So the doctor, what he told my mom is he goes, yeah, I understand that the physical appearance is very important to your daughter because I was getting big. My hair was falling out. My skin was turning like a green color. I was getting pimples. It was just it was, they called me Hunchback of Notre Dame, by the way, at AT&T. And so it was this process, right? But the doctor said what's important is that her heart's getting big and it can explode, and her stomach is getting big, it can explode. So there was a race in time to get me better, or it could be too late.
Before you exploded.
I exploded away, and now it's everywhere.
Okay. That's one way of spreading yourself out a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we can laugh about it now, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it was horrifying for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you went through that in your life, which I can't imagine, going through a brain tumor. So once you were feeling better and you went back to what, AT&T?
I went back to AT&T, but so I think I was at AT&T for 8 months more. And during the time they were talking about, so can I back up real quick? So I did have a little bit of tragedy right afterwards. So I got better, and within 6 months, my brother passed away in a motorcycle accident.
Oh.
So my parents, I feel so bad for my parents, right? So we went through that, and not realizing, I just realized about what insurance could have done for us.
Oh, wow. You didn't have insurance? They didn't have insurance?
Well, we didn't have life insurance because, if you get life insurance, you throw
Right.
salt, you're cursing yourself.
Sure.
And, just the way we Latinos think, and just all this time, and I was just like, oh my God. And his girlfriend was 4 months pregnant. And so anyway, so we lost my brother, and that was a big, that was like about
tragedy.
5 years of ugliness. And then I'm at work, and I heard that they were thinking of closing one of the AT&T call centers. And in El Paso, there's not a lot of management positions. So I didn't want to be out looking for a job with all the other managers. So I jumped ship. State Farm was brand new in the call center, and they were looking for people that came with experience for the call center for leadership positions. And I applied, and I got the position. So now I'm working at State Farm in the after hours call center.
Okay.
9/11 happened. I was there for 9/11. And then a year later is when I read it or I saw it. I can't remember how, but the FBI was looking to recruit special agents, secret agents, special agents, whatever they call them.
Okay.
And I applied knowing that I'm the type of person that I'll try everything once. And it was just kind of, I'm going to do it, Mom. I know I'm not going to get selected anyways, type of thing, So I went and I applied. And to make the long story short, it was about 7 tests and I passed all of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I have to go to Kansas City for a panel interview with the people, with everybody else in the United States that passed all the tests. And they send me there. I did the panel interview. I did a written interview, and then I had to do another one because I did the translating thing. So I had an extra test. So I come back, and I don't know, whatever the time frame was, I got called and I got selected to be a special agent for white collar crime, terrorism, and kidnapping. I had to do other little things, like I had to run a mile and a half and all that kind of stuff. So I was just like,
but you got selected. I mean, that is an impressive feat within itself. I mean, that is a very stringent, type testing process that they do. So wow, congratulations on that.
Yeah, so it was one of those things like, what? I'm gonna what?
You sure there's not a mistake?
Yeah, and I was just,
me?
You're waiting for them to call you, like, we made a mistake. We meant to call the other person, But no, so now my mom, my dad, my whole family, everybody at State Farm knows that I'm leaving. The newspaper wanted to do an article about homegrown, going into the FBI. So it was a big deal. And I'm getting ready to leave. It was like 2 weeks before. And I get a call and said, hey, we're excited that you're coming, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm excited too. We need your doctor's release. And I'm like, my doctor's release? Nobody told me. And they said, well, we normally don't ask for them, but we were looking at your medical and we need that. So at that point, I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I was just going to go get my doctor's release, but my doctor wouldn't give it to me. I'm going to tell you that it was about 4 times that he had to kick me out of his office because I tried to get that release. And
he wouldn't give it to you. Why?
I don't have adrenaline. I don't have adrenal glands. So,
Okay.
But back then when this happened, I could have gone. I know I could have handled it. And by the way, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm not going to be in the field. I'm going to move up into the office. So I'm going to do my time. And once I get a little bit older, I'm going to be in the office. So it was going to be okay. But my doctor would not take that chance. And he didn't give me my release and I couldn't go.
Imagine that was disappointing.
I had never been disappointed about a job ever. Because I always thought, well, if I can't get that one, I'll get another one. But I was very sad and disappointed. And I had to go back and ask for my job at State Farm. And, my director was great. He said, yes, we would love to have you back. But you know what? We want you to interview for a position in Austin. And I got that position and I moved to Austin. And it was the right time for me. Because normally I don't want to leave El Paso. That's where my family is. But it was a good time. It was time.
It's a good change.
It was a good change. And I had another thing to look for. I had my own house because, you don't leave your parents' house until you're married. So I was buying my own house. So it was a different life. So I was excited.
You're living an independent life, a non-traditional independent life for a young Latina.
Yes, which is
from El Paso.
Yes, which I shouldn't have, right? Because you don't leave your house until you're married.
Right. You should have been married by now. You should have been having kids.
And you don't leave your family. And I'm moving far away from my family.
So, but that changed your life.
It changed my life, and I'm glad I did it.
So, how did you came to Austin, and then at what point did you become an independent contractor for State Farm?
So I came to in 3 years. So I came to Austin. I worked in, I'm the one that read the medical reports when people apply for a life policy. I'm the one that read the medical and determined what if they got it or they not or they were rated. And then I was there for 8 months, and then I moved into being the manager of that department. And then my house burned down.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing. I'm just going, what?
Yes. So
your house burned down?
Yes, my house burned down. It was my truck. It was the Ford F-150 that had a recall. And I parked it in the garage, and I went to El Paso, and it caught on fire and burned my house down. But here's the thing.
I don't mean to be rude or anything, but did you have insurance on it?
Of course I had insurance,
okay.
JR.
I was just asking. Okay, so your house burned down.
Yeah, basically the girl from the third floor came down to my floor and paid me. but what happened at that point is when my house burned down, I also worked at Christian Dior. I did the makeup. And I was also an instructor for the University of Phoenix, all at the same time. So at that time, what happened is State Farm said, well, you're going to be living in an apartment until they build your house. So my house burned down 2 weeks before Katrina. So I couldn't get anybody to build my house because everybody's over there in Louisiana, right? So it took a long time. So State Farm says, we want to give you a developmental opportunity, and we want you to work at agents' offices. Since you're not going to be, you don't have a house anyways, we can set you up in a hotel in San Antonio. And we had what's called a promotion for life insurance. And what they wanted me to do is to go to different agents' offices and help them sell life insurance. So you work in a cubicle, and then you work at an agent's office where I can take lunch and I was just like, how do I get this job, And that's what triggered me to become a State Farm agent. Well, I got that development opportunity, and I never went back. I never went back to the corporate life.
There you go. So, in a sense, and now as an independent contractor, you're virtually your own boss, right? You have your own agency, Correct. You got your own staff.
Yeah.
And you do what you want to do.
Yes.
Okay, I have to ask this. It seems like all through your life you had multiple jobs. Are you focused in on this job, or do you still have other little side hustles?
I am focused on this
Okay.
job. It's I have a side hustle of 2 kids.
So you finally got married, huh?
I finally got married and I finally became a mom. Hooray!
I'm sure that made your dad happy.
Yes, I think at this time they were just they that wasn't their dream for me anymore. I mean, they're obviously happy, but
Yeah.
they were, I became a business owner, and I did very well. When I first started, I did very well, and so I think they were, whatever you want to do, Mija, we'll be happy for you.
Yeah. They were supportive. I mean, they've always been supportive, but they saw that you were following your own path and being very successful at it.
Yeah.
So, with this, I want to bring it up again, and congratulations again on the $1 million roundtable. What did the fact that you're bilingual did that help you in the business or in the industry?
It's helped me a lot in my business. When I first opened up my agency, you know, obviously there's a lot of insurance agents that speak Spanish, but with State Farm, I was one of the new ones here in Austin. So I was in South Austin. I mean, yeah, that was just ridiculous how it helped me. I mean, I had one customer that wanted someone that spoke Spanish, and they said, for the first time, I understand insurance, and they brought everybody else they knew. And then they brought everybody else they knew. And then they brought everybody else that they knew. So yeah, Spanish helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And now, I was a newer agent back then. So, I did what newer agents do, the PNC and that kind of stuff. And then actually I did go back to corporate. So I was in South Austin for about 3.5 years, and State Farm asked me to go back into corporate and train the future State Farm agents. They go through an 8-month program. So I managed that department for 6 states. And I did,
Wow.
so I did that for about 6 years. And then I always knew I wanted to become an agent. I always knew I wanted to be back. So the opportunity came that I finally got pregnant and was going to become a mom, and I didn't want to travel. I mean, I was living out of a suitcase, and I said, it's time for me to go back to agency. And that's when I'm here in Round Rock. And customer base is completely different than back when I first started. Demographics, and now we have a lot of Spanish speaking customers from different Latin countries, not just Mexico. So now I have Venezolanos, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, everything, Colombians. So I have a lot of big business owners that are just Spanish speaking. Or
And
they're
because
bilingual, but they prefer to speak, they prefer to do business in
Right.
Spanish. Yeah.
Okay, and because you take care of them so well, they start bringing their family and friends to you as well.
Yeah.
And it continues. That is great.
It continues.
That is great.
Yeah. And if they're business owners, then I get their employees, and then, so
So let me ask you this: now that you're successful, do you wear pantyhose and have a briefcase?
I do not. I do not wear pantyhose, and I do not have a briefcase. But I
Now,
have the new age pantyhose and briefcase.
okay. Now, I understand that when you were young, at one point you wanted to be a truck driver. So are you glad you didn't go down that trail?
Yes, my dad scared me. He said, if you become a truck driver, your pompies, my buttocks, are going to be squared. Squared and flat.
We would, we wouldn't want that.
I wanted to be a truck driver, and then I wanted to be a nun.
Okay, I'm not going to comment on that.
Yes, for very,
A nun?
yes,
A nun?
yes.
Okay.
I wanted to be a nun. I just thought it would be so beautiful. And then no, I don't want to be a nun.
Okay. All right. We all have choices in life, and you've definitely have. Seems like you picked some good paths for yourself. But you know what? If you would have been a truck driver, I'm sure you would have been an excellent truck driver. If you would have been a nun, you would have probably been Mother Superior by now. You definitely have that can-do type attitude. Alejandra, one of the things I really respect about you, and before we wrap up here, is that you give back to community. You've been successful, but you are successful, extremely successful, but you still believe in giving back, and you're always willing to help others. Why is that?
I just think it's our duty. We can't close the door behind us. I didn't have role models until I saw that lady that walked in with a briefcase and pantyhose, and it made a big difference in my life. And I just feel that we are responsible for making those differences to the younger generation. We are responsible to take care of the community that we live in. By whatever, you can donate time or you can donate money, you can create programs, whatever it is. So make the community better, the next generation better. And then I'm an animal lover, and I support a lot of the animal rescues.
Oh, how many pets do you have?
I'm down to 4. I have 2 pigs, and
Whoa! You have pigs?
yeah, I have Batman and Oink Oink, and I have a tortoise, and her name is Lupita, and then I have a dog, and his name is Popcorn.
Popcorn, Lupita, Oink Oink, and what else?
Batman.
Okay, what kind of pigs are these?
Potbelly pigs. They're very
Alejandra,
cute.
You are a different type of person, and we love you for it. Hey, before we go, I know there's probably some Latina listeners out there, or just Latinos, whoever, just any one of our listeners. What advice do you have for anybody who faces adversity, who has obstacles, whether it be physical, health issues, or mental, or whatever? You seem to have been through a lot and overcome them successfully. So what advice do you have for anybody who may be facing something similar that you've once faced in your lifetime?
So one thing that I always tell myself, it's only a period of time, right? So if you're going through something difficult or you're going through medical, it's only going to be a period of time, and then it's going to get better. So you always have to remember that it's only a period of time before things get better. It's not forever. And then the second thing that I would always tell them is always don't let nobody tell you who you are. And, being in corporate America, I got told about I shouldn't wear hoops. I shouldn't have my long eyelashes. I shouldn't wear stilettos, whatever it is. Nobody could put you in a box. You continue to be who you are. Never give up, and everything is always it's only a period of time.
Good advice. Well, once again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you've been listening to the Latino Business Report. My name is J.R. Gonzalez. I'm your host. You can find the Latino Business Report wherever you listen to podcasts. You also can visit us at latinobusinessreport.com. If you go to YouTube, if you're a YouTube listener and user, we have our entire library also on YouTube. Thank you very much. And for the listeners, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. I want to give a special little shout out to 2 people who live in Georgia, Paula and Nicola. You've been avid listeners since the beginning. I really appreciate it. And if you check your mail, I have just sent you 2 Latino Business Report shirts. I hope I got the size right. And thanks for listening. Alejandra, once again, thank you so much for being with us on today's show.
Thank you, JR. Thank you for your time.
All right, folks, until next time, we got some exciting episodes coming up. Stay tuned. Visit us at our website. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Latino Business Report.